My lovers. I'm like, how weird can I make my voice go? I'm just getting my coffee on. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm MJ from All to Love TV. Hey, Kiki Squad, how are you, my friend? Welcome. Welcome back to All to Love TV. Hi. Just be mindful, because sometimes I overfill my little coffee thing and then I spill it everywhere. So MJ likes to be a little bit careful with the old coffee. How are you today? How's it going? So if you guys are new here, you know the score. You doing tarot? That's right. I've got my tarot cards here. They're all laid out for my lovers, along with the new deck provided by one of the Love Share crew members, which is very, 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 very exciting, you guys. You've had an annoying headache tonight. Are you having caffeine withdrawal? A heavy headache, that can often be pressure and rest is needed. I remember when I went to A-Fest, there was a speaker talking about meditation named, why can't I remember her name? She was like an actress turned yogi, spiritual teacher, super beautiful. Anyway, she did a whole talk about how masturbation can be useful for headaches, FYI. Just so you know, little top all to love tip. Oh, to love. So yeah, the tarot is out. I will actually just start. Why nobody thinks I'm attractive? Because you got to think yourself is attractive, straight up legit. Because no one. Here's what I'm noodling with: is that truly, the life can't reflect anything other than our own relationship with self, and it's super duper annoying because it means we just have to keep shape-shifting and rewiring our thought form, rewiring our thought patterns in the face of adversity, in the face of even what appears to be like, nobody loves me, you have to love yourself, you have to love yourself. And I'm not a hideous, you are not a hideous monster. I try to have love for self. Just keep having love for self. Unashamedly, unapologetically, wholly, like, and that's something I've been really endeavoring these last few days in particular, is like really, truly loving and accepting the whole self in the here now. Yeah, with unconditional love and acceptance. Like that child, even with all of her shitty fuck upness, has love, you know, like knowing that there's room to grow and there's room to learn and there's room to change and expand, and yet in the here now present, like, you're good, this is good, you're good to go. So let's crack on with the general reading, shall we? So I got the Rider-Waite deck. This is usually the deck that I use for like the general landscape of certain stories that are going on. Hi Eliza. I know, I do remember Kevin. I was thinking it and I was going to say your name aloud. And then I stopped myself just to be like, that's definitely Kev, right? So Kiki Squad is Kevin. Holla. Yeah, keep loving yourself. You know, that's so much of what this paradigm shift is about, is like self-love, self-care. Hey Dave, how are you? Nice to see you here. I know some of you all I'm connected to on Instagram, and I am slowly but surely weaning myself off of Instagram and Facebook, simply because of the distracted busyness of it, and I sometimes think it's not necessarily that effective or useful for a business platform. YouTube, the community here, is where I be vibing, so I will continue to make space and hold space and show up here. Hey Peekaboo, how are you? So Temperance and then Chariot cards. So there's definitely, I don't know what TikTok is. Why does that res you into TikTok? I know, purely YouTube. Again, I'm quite like a peaceful, just quiet introvert person. So like I love simplicity, you know? And I find it's been years, 2012 I started the YouTube channel. 2014 I was like committing to the YouTube channel and sharing the process with all y'all. And so the dedication with which I've invested into the YouTube community and platform is like where it's at. And then personally, because of like the awareness I hold and like the teachings that I carry, it's like most of it is senseless, like just distraction. Because the truth of the life or the world that we're endeavoring to create around us is truly, truly within. And so the more we listen to that inner guidance and that inner joy and that inner love, the more we're guided to that benevolence, which is not usually what other people tell you. So yeah, you can have a reading. I'm basically, the way it works is if you just ask a question and I see it, I'll endeavor to pull a card. I'll pull 2 cards, pull 3 cards. It's all very much appreciated. So the general reading so far that I'm seeing is Temperance and then Chariot, which is super pure and really beautiful. It's that with all of the self-love energy, Andy P's in the house, holla. So with all the self-love and temperance energy here, this is like coming into balance, coming into divinity, coming into your source point. We then have the Chariot, which is thank God. And this is also the energetic transition that we're in for March, eventually getting into the spring equinox, Aries season, obviously springtime, or it would be the fall equinox, depending on where you are in the world. But the spring energy, I'm certainly aware of this, like usually by March, things will start manifesting and shape-shifting and turning around. And so it doesn't surprise me that like the self-love temperance energy is followed up by this Chariot. And the Chariot energy for me feels like the green light, as in you've got your guides, you've got your protection, you've got your connection, and so you're ready to move forward in this greater, more benevolent and balanced state of being. So that's the general vibrashe for today. And I would probably put this into the mid-March, end of March arena. I believe it's right after the equinox, March 22nd, that Saturn moves into Aquarius. And so there's going to be a lot of this, a lot of movement forward, a lot of things landing in the reality that are right, that feel like, okay, this is the new path, this is the new direction, and I am being guided. So there's some general energy which I feel will resonate with some of all y'all. Kiki, I just feel like everyone's been in really weird moods lately. Holla. Similarly, Kiki, like I feel that. I think sometimes it's warranted because as a culture, we're so heavily programmed to seek love. We're so heavily programmed to like find our counterpart. Like once you meet the man of your dreams, then your life will start. And it's sort of like, no, we are whole and our life is here now, and our life, and ultimately love in the form of, real unconditional support and love and wisdom, and that comes in the form of many different forms, right? And we needn't seek fulfillment via another human being. That's a big part of the paradigm shift energy, is that as a human vessel, we become sovereign, self-sustainable, and in love, so that all that we do is shared from that place of giving the power and the divinity back to the self, back to whomever we're engaged with, and not to just be, in this weird obligated sense, devoted to people or structures outside of the self. What up? Hey, Erin, how are you? Nice to see you, Joshua. Love is to eating large quantities, teaches qualities of chocolate. Al Pacino, devil's advocate. Hilarious. Love is, oh, I get it, eating large quantities of chocolate. Hello, my lovers. Lilith, what guan? Like a lot of people seem, although, yeah, Kiki, that's, I would say, about accurate. Also, if you're an empath here, you pick up on the beyond the veil. So there's like there's like the 3D illusion, like everybody's going to work as usual or just, living life as usual, but then there's like the beyond the veil. So empathic community will be increasingly picking up on the subtle undertones of energetic outpouring from people. Love. Hey, Kat, Aaron. Love is always the topic, isn't it? Oh, to love. Love is always the topic. One mind telepathic communication among the empath community. LOL, Virgo moon, holla. Well, in the Virgo moon, I'm quite looking forward to because I can feel it already coming in for me. Finally, I'm like this, and this is so ridiculous, but like it is a very Virgo thing, but I'm actually starting to look forward to like organizing certain things and like getting a spreadsheet out to like organize things that just I wasn't in the space to organize up to this point. But then with the Virgo moon energy coming in and these transits happening, I'm starting to get the motivation and the inspiration to start to organize and really look at certain things that probably didn't feel, or I was just in the deep dark void, like, what is life? Like unable to do anything terribly proactive. Although that's a lie as well. That's just part of my shadow where I like, nothing is ever good enough, is it? Even though we do lots. A lot of readers tell me I'm empathic. I that's my intuition, vibrashe, Kevin, is that that's so not true, but that's often probably what's gone on in your karmic patterning, Joshua. Because women desire saying that's not true, but and yet that's clearly a perspective we hold. Like I'm aware of that in us as men and women, when we're doing this work really consciously, we might hit up against patterns of hatred toward other or mistrust, which is again imprinted on a deeply traumatic level of traumatizing and persecuting and all of that kind of shit. Oh, Rockefeller, thank you for that. Ascension symptoms en masse. Yeah, that's what I was. So ascension symptoms en masse, yes, and then that links back to Kevin's point about like everything feels weird or people feel off, and that's the kind of something I would also express is that the critical mass awakening is like up leveling, i.e. en masse, all these veils get lifted and people are like, what the actual fuck is life? What's going on? So the empathic community, i.e. why part of the reason we're pulled to congregate in spaces like this is to be like, it's okay. Just stay grounded. Do things that you enjoy. Find those creative expressions or the creative expression channels, right? Oh, cheers. Thanks a lot. Beautiful. So I've just pulled another card. So we have 3 major arcanas on the table right now. And then after that Chariot card, the general energy is justice. So that's another big part. And we were just discussing en masse, right? So here again, we have to acknowledge as much as this whole awakening process is fairly deeply emotionally uncomfortable, ultimately the emotional healing is helping to balance the scales of our social order, i.e. we start healing the self, that shines light onto the veil, and then that light reboots back onto the masses, and it's an undeniable awakening to see through the corruption of the construct of the 3D enslavement system. So truly, truly, this here now community is aligning with their temperance, so aligning with their divine source point, being guided to move forward. Thank God for that. And then being guided to move forward with a sense of justice, because so much of us, that's really why we do what we do. Because the world that got shone into my lens of awareness was like, ow. And it's like my beingness couldn't abide there. It couldn't tolerate that. It couldn't live or exist in that realm. So withdrawal, do all this inner work, and then be guided in creating a business and a world that suits the heart of self, like just more love, without having kind of egoic attachments to whatever we think that might look like, which a lot of the false light teachings have polarity in, as far as unconditional acceptance is laced with conditions, essentially. As in, you meditate for 20 minutes or die. And I do. I mean, of course, you guys know that. I propagate meditation, I propagate plant medicine, I propagate self-awareness and relaxation. At the same time, I propagate, like, be fierce and be fearless in doing what you love, because no one's going to hand that to you, because the majority still aren't there yet. So we in this community have to, in essence, or certainly in your own life, have to be the pioneer of your own dreams fulfillment. Mercury retrograde is the planet of communication, and Mercury retrogrades, which means from the human visual eye, anytime a planet goes retrograde in the night sky, it looks like it's transiting backwards, which in the collective astrological community, usually a retrograde planet means a cycle of review. So Mercury, being the planet of communication, collectively, usually when Mercury is retrograde, we have an opportunity to review patterns, and then the reason people often go, Mercury retrograde, is that it is known in Mercury retrograde that a lot of the communication technological things come up, or travel disruptions. So, like, yeah, just things can seem to fuck up, but actually the fuck up is a review. It's not an actual fuck up, it's retrograding so that we can go over something, and if fuck ups happen, it's like, I need to address that. I need to go over that. I need to look at that. So this Mercury retrograde in Pisces is literally helping us to review over lifetimes, potentially, of karmic cycles and densities and patterns and bullshit that we be in. Martyrdom, savior, the victim, the whatever, right? Whatever these constructs of disempowered behavior is, but disempowered patterning is, that denies the power of self, that's all being shapeshifted for us. And or in this Merc retrograde, it's being highlighted. Like, what do you really want, and versus what are your patterns acting out, right? And so it's really moving forward. And there, when I look at the justice, these are all sovereign beings, temperance and chariot and justice. This is a movement that we're taking as an individual. And yet with the justice card there, in fact, all of these cards here, we have to recognize that our individual freedom and our individual power and truth and beauty is the service to the whole. Not us playing disempowered power play games, not us going, okay, I should do it like this, or I better do it like this, or maybe I'm not quite enough to do it that way, so I better do it this way, and so yeah, and there's a lot of intuitives and healers here, so if you guys have your insights or input onto the Merc retrograde energy, that's good to go. You scared me. How come? I want it to end. It finishes March 9th or 10th, right after the full moon. Is it a full moon full moon in Virgo. Is that correct? Kiki, so when it ends, do you think people will be more nicer? Yeah, possibly. Like that can be legit. Mercury retrograde is like the return of karma. True that. So like it retrogrades over, and then whatever densities can come up for healing during that phase, then it can. And then we go over it, we heal it, we clear it, and then we move forward with greater clarity. Virgo, yes, my sun sign. Hala. Virgo is my moon sign. So March 10th, full moon in Virgo, and then that ends the Mercury retrograde. So we're like a week out. And I mean, increasingly what I'm noticing is just the blending of energies, is that there's and then whenever we're researching and looking into these energies, it kind of compounds them, or it crystallizes the creation of that energetic timeline. So I can already feel the releases. I can already feel certain shape shifts that are going to have to occur. I can already feel certain certain manifestations landing that are going to shift gears. And again, on a resonance level, intuitively, I know that I'm already being shape-shifted into this next phase. It's just there's still things that are landing. And it's a challenge because we have to be able to, within the self, discern the old patterning versus discerning the freedom and the liberation. And then surrounding ourselves with people that certainly do permission the liberation and the freedom versus the commitment to the old paradigm, the commitment to the like, you're not quite enough, so you shall have to be a slave forever or whatever. Okay, so there's more cards. This next theme after Temperance, Chariot, Justice. So major arcana. It's all about justice, moving forward from that balanced state and really permissioning your freedom in justice, because it's somebody, I'm sure Kevin might have been the one, it's like there is collective expressions that support the false light program or the darkness program. It's the same thing, right? Just different sides of the same coin. Something you said, like nice guys finish last, good people never get ahead. Like we have those collective agreements that are false. Or I could just say are just a big pile of bullshit. That's something I must own and solve and shapeshift that and say good people do win. Like good people get to have success. Good people get to come together and make more love and more harmony and more peace in this world. I'm tired of those collective agreements that good people finish last or good people never get to win. And there I can literally just not even be triggered, but hold space and allow oneself to transform that projection, because good people do win and good people get ahead in this world, and corruption is held accountable. People that are corrupted or people that are doing distortion or powering over people, that cycle is ending here now. Now we live in a world where good people get ahead, where good people lead the way, where compassion and empathy and well-being is a priority for our humanity. Not using materiality construct to then manipulate and enslave and power over people. That is some bullshit that is ending today. So good people are winning at life, and then it's like we're walking away from the emotional investments that we had to that construct and laying it down for good. It's like laying down the false, and there's almost, again, I've spoken of this before on this channel, but even when we're letting go of suffering, even when we're letting go of like challenges that we've held with us most of our lives, there's often like a grieving process. Holy shit. So now this whole next phase is all about walking away, laying it down, putting down the burden. And the 10 of Wands is feeling very much to me like this collective burden. So many of us as empaths, we have this feeling like we're responsible for everybody, feeling like we're somehow responsible for like doing the work for everyone else and like holding people's hands and being good people. Put that shit down, my lovers. You're not responsible for anyone else but yourself. Hello. Get your freak on. get you a freak on. MJ's doing a money dance. Money, 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 money. I love it. Oh, MG. Look at that. Aaron. Good people lead the way on earth. Bad ones live in a fictitious world. Holla! I feel that. When people start wanting stable relationship commitment, everyone seems to play. Oh, Kevin, it is rife. This is part of the energy here as well. Is that the game playing has to do with the fact that people are confused about who they are. Nobody knows who they are, so nobody can commit to. And fuck, here's the thing. This is something that I'm acutely aware of. The majority of people are not committed to themselves. So they're too focused on fulfilling a social role. Like, I'm meant to be in a relationship, so I should be in a relationship. So I'm just going to put up with a bunch of bullshit because I'm afraid of who I am. I'm afraid of my desires. I'm afraid of what me fulfilling my desires will make everybody else feel like. So I'm just going to keep myself in this little fucking box and please all the people around me and just slot into that status quo. So going your own way, truly pioneering freedom, truly pioneering sovereignty is radical in this day and age. Radical. To truly love yourself and stand on your own 2 feet and unapologetically and unconditionally love and accept the totality of your beingness with all the faults and all the uglinesses along with all the beauty and the light, that is a radical endeavor in this day and age because it means you stand alone in sovereignty. And yet we're at this precipice, we're at this quantum leap phase of our human evolution where we know that if we don't stand in our sovereignty, then we just stay enslaved, you know? Technically, I'm celibate as well because there has been no intimacy for quite a while now. So I'm with you. I know, and I must say there is someone in my reality who made quite a, it was a man as well, but made quite a flurry of like, I'm celibate. I'm being guided to celibacy. And I'm like, big deal, big whoop. Like a lot of us as single women are celibate for months, if not years at a time. And that I found a quote, and it's relevant to that little spout of Tinder exploration that I did, where there was a quote recently that was like, "Sex is really easy, love is hard to find." Where now we're living in this spinning out reality where it's, you know, people can get laid, but they don't love themselves. You know, and it's not even like going celibate is gonna necessarily, but then I can't judge, and in truth there's no judgment because I have such respect for people's sovereignty. So in truth, if this person is being guided to celibacy for any amount of time, that I would honor that absolutely. I sometimes it's like when I have had those trigger reactions to seeing posts saying like the awakening man is feeling their emotions, now the awakening is happening, and I'm like, it's not about you, it's not about specifically. So I always just find it interesting when people have to like flower their like almost like sensationalizing the inner work, right? It's like when I joke about like shadow work, and I'm like, yeah, feeling your emotions. For the empath community, that's where I'm like, I have to sit with stuff because it's like all these layers, but it's like on the other side of something. It's with an awareness of something. It's not in the shits, you know? So people being like, yeah, I'm doing shadow work. I'm like, so you're just beginning to feel the depth of your emotions, where for the empath community, our whole lives have been in this depth. Mostly, if anything, trying to hide it, to fit in, to be normal. But what we're finding is that that's not normal. And there is no fitting in to a false construct. Nobody fucking fits in. And what's happening en masse are people with anxiety, depression, weight issues, various physical ailments because we're repressing our emotionality. Everyone says I'm too emotional. Holla, this is an empath community. This is exactly why a lot of us resonate with one another, is because all of our lives we've been shunned, ridiculed, teased, denied. Like people, like I've had people just literally deny me. And what you have to acknowledge in a self, in a human, sentient, alive being, if when someone denies you, they pretend like you're dead, which is a really uncomfortable feeling when you're not dead, when you're very much alive, and somebody that was once in your reality, you're like, oh my God. Like they're not there. It's like I've just died and nobody cares. Except I'm not dead, I'm very much alive and nobody cares. So like again, it's important for empaths to be around other empaths because most of us have been abused over and over again. And I say that with love and compassion to my abusers because what I recognize is on a core level, they're carrying a lot of density. That I, through the grace of all that is benevolent, was born into this lifetime not carrying that density, which is where I'm a bridge. And I recognize my vessel as acting as a bridge, pioneering these new light codes for the next generations that are coming in because they are lighter and they land in this manifest awareness much quicker, and they don't carry as much of the karmic backlog, which is the way for the future, you know, which is the new earth that we're endeavoring to land and create here, right? But for a lot of us, it's had to be really radical because there's very little energetic coding of that three-dimensional patriarchal old paradigm construct that we're taking with us. It's all inverted, upside down, inside out. If you think of Avatar, if you think of the way the Avatar people live, that's much, i.e. think about Native American, think about Aboriginal tribes. So think about merging a highly advanced technological civilization with a connected people. So this is part of how we see it moving forward, is that we have to create a mode and a systems of operation that upholds the mass, i.e. free education, free energy, free mostly everything. Because we all, if you're here, you deserve to be here. We are not commodity to be traded on a stock market, you know, and that's a big shift in full disclosure energy, on top of the fact that there's disclosure in different realms with extraterrestrial energy. It's this idea of the human vessel moving into the quantum gate of interstellar. Think of Star Trek. You know, think of the show Star Trek. I kind of sometimes feel into that, in as far as how the advancement of our human population might look. Or I think of the Venus Project. So I think of having community that are completely self-sustainable, quite luxurious, in fact. You know, everybody gets to live on a certain level. But self-awareness, the knowing of the self, that's what we're flipping around. Instead of being, you know, when you're little and we're put into school in that system, we're basically taught to deny the self and learn all of this information about the world. So recognize that we were trained to perceive the world the way the controllers wanted us to perceive the reality they were choosing to create. As we reclaim our sovereignty, those pillars are crumbling. Those illusions that they tried to project into our own mind are being undone and reformed through the divine blueprint that which we carry. Hence the pioneer, hence the building of the bridge, right? Because it's not coming from leadership, because leadership is invested in the old. So there's a Knight of Cups coming in. Knight of Cups is a water sign, possibly younger than you. With there's a decision that maybe hangs in the balance a little bit. I'm just hearing noise and I'm like, oh yeah, my roommate's woke up. She's just got back, so. This whole part of the reading, you know how we were talking about like laying things to rest, walking away potentially from projects or things you were invested in, laying it to rest. Why? Because you're laying down the burden. It's radical light, hala. Yeah, right. So Joshua, I'm really aware that that's where you're sitting right now. That's part of your shadow. That's the underlying separation programming that you have around women. So something that I would recognize and address within the self is that whenever I'm talking about people's behavior, that those are parts of my own projection, and when they're not very nice, I have to harmonize that, you know, which is where I can see that over these past few years I have been picked up and laid down over and over again by narcissistic men who just want me to fill a certain role or need, or like they don't have any intention of loving me or caring for me, they just want something from me. And then I, under the illusion, would like think that this is the man of my dream or my Prince Charming, and then they would just start dating somebody else, or they would never call me again, or I'd never hear from them again, and that was super duper painful. But that doesn't mean that all men are like that. It doesn't even mean that they're like that. That's just what I attracted out of them from my learning, because I was still carrying so much unconscious distortion around men and who they are. Men only want one thing, you know. That would always reverb around, and also just taking the fucking rose-colored glasses on around love relationships as a whole. There isn't a fantasy. It's not a fantasy. There's no such, like, as in the trigger point of falling in love is actually constructed. Love is unconditional for self, and when we find that unconditional love for self, the majority, if not all, of our relationships that come in reflect that, unless it's a pattern, which eventually you get to know the patterns too. We're still clearing them, so it's okay if we're in those patterns. I'm just aware of like being myself, and if a romantic relationship comes along at this point, I can be open to that, but I'm not going to give anybody, for that matter, power over me to make my life happy, to make my life complete, to make my body fulfilled. I can do all that for myself. Do I desire love? Absolutely. As an empath, do I want to give love? Absolutely. But am I hella tired of giving out all of my love and all of my devotion to receive nothing? Or to feel like I have to, or to feel like whenever I have to express my needs, to feel like there's some shame in that? You know, to know in my heart what I deserve and then to not be met, and to feel like I must be fucking crazy for asking for something that I need from this person, right? When I give of self, when I support, when I love, when I share, you know, and then to think you're going crazy for asking the same to be reciprocated. And that's essentially a huge part of like us all meeting in this space has been me sharing the process of healing from those narcissistic tendencies. And I don't say the word narcissist lightly. Empath, narcissist, we are all one, you know, and we all matter. So it's like what I express is that I too, at times in my life, have acted out in narcissistic ways because I was in fear. What I cannot tolerate anymore are people denying how they feel and putting it all on me, because that's the historical program for an empath, is just keep taking it. Just keep taking responsibility, which is why it starts to feel like there's too much pressure, because you can't make yourself happy and then also make everybody else happy, because most of us are in people-pleasing patterns, which means we focus more on everybody else being happy than ourselves. And this is how the tidal turns of this whole entire world get played, is that we start to prioritize our self-care, our self-love, our self-fulfillment, our self-freedom. Prioritize your self-freedom and let people join you there. Don't compromise your freedom to meet people at their shitty, fucking chaotic, dense place where they're living, right? And again, it's tricky for the empath because it feels good to make people feel good. What I've noticed, straight up legit, John Beanie in the house, is that now that I'm surrounding myself with other empaths, it's like, holy shit. I never imagined feeling so supported, like feeling so loved, things getting done without even having to ask. Things just get done. Or I'll do something and somebody will actually thank me for doing stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, finally I'm in an environment where I don't feel like I'm being taken for granted. I feel like people actually reflect back to me my deservingness and like my beauty and my joy and my generosity. It's like, wow, how monumental. But that straight up legit, my lovers, this reality that I'm pioneering has come off of the best part of 7 years of reclusion, isolation, withdrawal, mega meditation, mega yoga, vibrashe, holding space for people. And then in these last few years, a whole bunch of people exiting my life. Either me exiting or them exiting or me catching them in a lie or something that warranted me going, holy shit, this isn't working. Like, I'm never gonna meet you. You're never gonna see me for who I am. Why? Because as the sensitive, aware empath, I could usually reflect back that they can't even see themselves. You know, they're not living in their highest dream order, so why would I expect them to permission me to live mine? When unconsciously what's going on is they're hoping that if I just stick around, all their dreams will come true. You know, because it feels good to talk about all this shit, but living it requires actual fucking grit and resilience and diligence and determination and mega fucking fear to the fact of like, will I be able to eat today? Will I be able to pay rent today? Will I be able to keep my car today? Will I be able to avoid the bailiffs today? Like, you gotta dig in so deep. And because of this quick fix bullshit 3D construct, most people just, they're too frightened to keep penetrating the veils that are coming up, to keep facing down the fears that are showing themselves. Because it's fucking humiliating. That's another thing. You know, I can see as I stumble and fall into my infinite voidal trust that the, you know, groups of people that were once my friends are either laughing or hoping that I fail or not even, or, you know, recently somebody, I think, you said something about the efficacy, and I just thought, you know, however, here's my practice, my lovers. Everything around me, everyone around me, if I have a conversation, part of the flip is that I don't even, so if somebody says something that triggers an emotion and I sit with it, whatever they said is an extension of my own belief system, right? So if I don't like what they said, if it doesn't resonate on a deep core level, I take it on mine and go, oh, so I don't believe in myself. I don't believe this is real yet. I don't da, 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 da. Or if it's an icky thing, you know, and they say something that triggers that feeling, I'll be like, so that's another underlying belief system that is limiting me from being free, from living the life that I truly want to live versus living the life that I was told I should live or living the life that other people are living. That's another big one for the empaths as well, is that the layers, right? Is that you can see like, oh yeah, this is a really good idea, but does it really serve your soul? And you can see how we can make those excuses on a 3-dimensional level because something isn't here now and other people don't believe in you, so you know, you might as well just step in line and not believe in yourself either. No, but I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart. I have midheaven, possibly like midheaven, and I think maybe so midheaven and Scorpio. I feel like maybe Jupiter. I know that I have Lilith in Sagittarius, and there's Scorpio lines up, so there's definitely like some Scorpio energy in there for sure. And I have it in, again, one of those areas where I know that part of my mish will be talking about sexual energy and why that needs healing and how to heal it and all that. Hi Alfraz, how are you? Divine Sight, suffering is a choice. Joshua. Oh, Kiki, Kevin, I know you're like again the male in the opposite. Is that was essentially what happened for me these last few years. Like literally, a man would just give me any attention, I would just fall in love and assume like there's like some happily ever after. And then when I'd find out they were dating other people or they would just stop contacting me or they would just ignore me or whatever, I would go through this whole like, like why don't they love me? Like what's going on? Why da, da, da. And like then I'd be like, oh shit, look at how much I'm still giving power to them. And then I finally, in these last even few months, I finally come to the space of like, who needs it? You know? Who needs it? Why can't I just be fucking happy with me? Oh my god, I can. But I have not been able to feel this since I was like prepubescent. You know, because again, that indoctrination to find a boyfriend, you know, there's a lot of social value for a girl to have a boyfriend. You know, it's like most girls would also be able to honor that. Like for a young woman or just a woman, when I travel, people don't even ask me where I'm from. What do you think their first question is? Are you married? Do you have a boyfriend? Because like it's still around the world, we are possessions. And so for increasing women to be traveling on their own, it still hits up against people's status quo, conformity. This is the world, like, you're alone? You're not married? What the fuck are you doing? You know? Like, so that, again, that's a real biofeedback thing that happens, is that we as women are still, in a dominant sense from the old paradigm perspective, considered commodity. And yet what's happening is that as women claim more of their sovereignty and freedom, there's a lot of this entire social framework and construct that's being ripped down, because all along the way that we've been building this world, we've been in denial of our feminine side. Men and women alike, we've had to deny our intuition. We've had to pretend like we don't have emotions. And look where that got us, right? So as a unit, we're now just reclaiming our wholeness and sovereignty to heal, to be more whole humans, so that we can cultivate family and work and education and politic from a more even playing field. Sovereignty, deservingness, worthiness. Hey H, how are you? I think you all need, right? I can hear the roomie as well moving about, but that's not the determining factor necessarily. I bet that a lot of geniuses and artists have the same placement too. Even some famous criminals, capable and intelligent, and still grow and show more. The social threat is in the making. Yes, it is. Eliza, loving the insights here. I catch things so fast, it sucks. It's a gift, Kevin. It's a gift. Suffering can be processed to stop negative patterns. Yeah. So that's looping back to what Divine Sight says about the suffering. There again, we can hold space, because it's not like we're saying you're in suffering and you're choosing to be there and that. I mean, like, there's an element, but the point of it is that we can hold space for pain. Pain moves. But when we focus on the pain as a reality, or the shame or the uncomfortable emotion as part of who we are, we hold it in place and embody it as part of our personality code, which then perpetuates suffering patterns. The way we uproot those suffering patterns is that we have to continuously permission ourselves to be more joyful, to be more happy, to have more fun, to play more, to blah, 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 which for most of us in this adult world has been long forgotten. You know, most of us got traumatized out of joyful existence at a very early age. So if we are to uproot suffering patterns, we must then reprogram ourselves to play and enjoy and have fun. And when pain strikes, hit and hold space for that pain to move through us. The only reason our human collective is in such profound suffering is because we are in denial of our power. We are in denial of our emotional body. Once we can open up that field and let the emotional body start to heal itself, we don't need to be in these suffering patterns. We don't need to impoverish each other. We don't need to drop bombs on each other. We don't need to starve one another. We don't need to enslave one another. We can just regenerate and heal and create from a healing space of greater awareness, so that, okay, we understand how pain works as a synaptic firing. We can let that pain move through us. We don't need to try to be a man and hold down the pain. Like, pretend like that's not there, because it is. You know? Like, I'm just hearing for whatever reason, like Donald Trump is in pain, and are all the people that surround him, you know. So we can just hold space, right? Healing equals revealing, continuous unfolding, right? Yeah. Ah, you are so loved. Anywho, you guys, you know, I'm hearing the roomie move about, and I feel like I want to close her down. Close her down. I have so much love and appreciation for all of you. You guys know this. Like, this is legit, like, up there with my favorite part of the day. I really appreciate your guys' private readings, your donations. Some of you recently bought the Be the Change courses. I'm so excited to be selling some of the Be the Change courses finally. And yeah, just keep them coming, really. It's so wonderful to be here with you. I'm moving about tomorrow, so I might be either broadcasting from a different location or maybe having a day off tomorrow. This was gold. Hello, Lori. I have so much love for you. And all of you. The live show crew, the online crew. I have another yoga retreat, an online yoga retreat, which is £22. And it's going to be around the new moon / equinox. So it's a spring equinox online yoga retreat. We'll do an evening restorative, getting the ceremony ready, and then have a session and ceremony on the actual equinox, and then wrap it up and you know, probably do a little ceremony on the 22nd to really set intentions for the next 3 months ahead. Do you ever get a pimp? Oh, all the time, like loads. Like, there's one on my leg. I've been working on that, man. Like, what are you selling? So I have a book, Thomas. I published the Fearless Life Guide in 2016. I know spots are little bits of anger coming out of our body. So I have online courses. I have 4 online courses that I call Be the Change. And the online courses support people in going vegan, getting connected, and then a Zenful Zero Waste, which I collaborated with somebody, and then Unplug for Freedom. So Unplug for Freedom is the course I just finished, and it's basically supporting people in not watching mainstream media. I love you! I love y'all! I love you! Book on its way, finally! Oh, hi! Yeah! And then I do recommend that as the teacher, you know, as your guide. I typically do recommend in all of the courses, I recommend that you sit with the material of the book, because, like, in my life force, it's like the book, the teachings of the book are like the foundation of my, like, awareness and how I see us moving through these suffering patterns on a human collective level. And then the Be the Change courses are like the practical 3D action steps that can help us in speeding up the ground control vibrational cleaning crew. So we can collectively speed up clearing our karma and then anchor in these higher timelines by obviously doing the emotional work. And then on top of that, if you unplug, if you go vegan, again, these are dominantly, I'm super loose, like, because I don't like to be militant or dictatorial or dogmatic. But certainly in my awareness and the clients I work with, people shift the quickest when they actually do all those pieces. So it's like me working with somebody and meditating with them, and then they go watch TV. And then they're like, oh my God, I'm in blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, you can meditate and get connected, but then if you're just going to plug right into like a bullshit, fearful media program, then you've just nullified your meditation practice. So again, I propagate veganism based on plant-based diet. So like eating as whole as you can, not watching mainstream bullshit and or even social media bullshit if it's making you feel bad. Zero waste as far as being more conscious of our consumption patterns. And then Spirituality Simplified is really the 8-week course that encapsulates my own spiritual journey process and offerings, you could say. So yeah, the Be the Change courses. Oh, and there's merch, which I team with a company that does most of it. So Ultra Love just gets like a tiny little royalty when you buy merch. But yeah, you can buy like Ultra Love sweatshirts and hoodies and t-shirts, the Be the Change courses. Look at me, I'm like still consolidating my business. So it's like, and then the intuitive tarot readings, which I record privately and send to your inbox, or live, like I had a live session yesterday. And then the perspective calls, so the coaching, which I usually, when people want regular coaching, we usually work out a exchange that feels right for both of us. So there, that's my Ultra Love biz. 2020 is for sure, I mean, continual work, 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 work. I know. I know. How would, you know, I've just listed that off, JV. It's like, how would I ever thought there was not a tangible business here? I'm like, it's very tangible. There's trading happening. So long may it continue to prosper, and I'm just really thankful for you guys showing up. You hear me? You feel me? Hell yeah. Jenna Marbles. Hell yeah. You guys have an awesome day. Thank you for being here. I'll see you probably tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, I'll see you the next day. And I'll be in a warmer climate, hopefully. Lots of love, you guys. Thank you. Peace out. Oh yeah, hugs. Virtual hugs. I like going up close to the light because my teeth look really white. Virtual hugs, my lovers. You guys are the best. You're the best. All right. Oh, okay. Bye, guys. I love you loads. Big hugs. Big hugs.